How are you doing? Now, if you know how the NFL works, at the end of the regular season, that very first Monday is called Black Monday. Why do they call it that? Because teams end up firing their coaches and they jump in line trying to get new ones. So these are the teams that currently have openings and would not be shocked if we see a couple more teams added to this list. But right now, we have the Seahawks, which that one just opened up few hours ago, not too long ago, when they stepped away from Pete Carroll, I should say. The Titans' job because Vrabel no longer there. Raiders, they previously had Antonio Pierce, who's the interim, so now that's an opening. The Chargers, Brandon Staley, finally gone. Did a video about that a while ago. Probably go check that one out. Washington, Ron Rivera, they moved on from him. The Falcons, Arthur Smith. We saw the game this past weekend. They lose to the Saints. He gets fired pretty shortly after, a few hours. And then Carolina, where Frank Reich was fired midseason. Now they have an opening. So looking at these 7 jobs, I think there's pros and cons to each one. Go through those really quickly, and then we can talk about who could possibly fill these 7 spots. So looking at the Chargers job, that's the one I feel like is going to be the most talked about because it probably has the highest profile quarterback already connected with Justin Herbert. One thing about the Chargers job, like I said, Herbert would be an attraction. And I think the talent, if you look at that team, very talented roster, and for some reason they just can't put it all together. So that would be an attraction. I think a con for the Chargers would be cap space because they're actually over the cap right now, which means some of that talent that is there, you'll probably end up having to lose them to get under the salary cap, right? So that means it could be Khalil Mack, could be Austin Eckler, could be Gerald Everett, sorry, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. So that might be something you'll have to deal with, but it's LA, so it's going to be an attraction. The Commander's job, looking at that one, what's a pro? You no longer have to deal with Dan Snyder. I feel like that makes the job that much more attractive right off the bat. You have wide receivers, pretty talented. And then this could be a pro or a con, Sam Howell. The next coach is going to have to decide if Sam Howell is their guy or not. If they are, pro, that would be an attraction. If not, well, maybe that's something that makes you stay away. Cons, the defense, which they really gutted when they got rid of Chase Young and Montez Sweat this past year. You'd have to fix that. And the O line was an issue last year, which kind of led to Sam Howell's struggles at times. So that's something the new coach is going to have to address once they get in there. The Falcons' job. What would be an attraction for that one? There's young talent all over that offense. So that's going to be a big deal, big attraction for a future coach. I mean, on the flip side of that, though, the quarterback is the one thing that's holding back that offense from probably being, pretty good. But then, other pros, the defense is improved. Arthur Blank is a guy who kind of sticks with coaches maybe a little bit too long. That's job security. The division, NFC South, it's not really a murderer's row. So if you go in there, you make a couple adjustments there, here and there, could be winning that division pretty quickly. Like I said, the con, quarterback, Desmond Ritter, Taylor Heineke, definitely need an upgrade there. Pass rush is still an issue. That's something I have to get fixed. And if you're a coach that's going in there hoping, maybe to be paired up with a GM of your choice, the GM's keeping his job, so that could be a con. But if the coach likes Terry Fontenot, then not that big of a deal. Carolina Panthers. What is good about Carolina? They have cap space. Pretty decent amount, like around $40 million. Bryce Young was the number 1 pick last year and showed signs down the stretch that could be a pretty good player. So that would definitely be a pro. Same thing as the Falcons. The division should be an attraction because even with the Panthers, as bad as they were this year, would it be a surprise if the right guy goes there and they go worse to first? No, not really. Khan, the owner, Tepper, kind of a loose cannon, and he seems like he's not that great of an owner. Seems like he wants to meddle a little bit too much, and that could be a turnoff. I mean, we saw with Frank Reich. Frank Reich wanted C.J. Stroud. Tepper wanted Bryce Young. They took Bryce Young, fired Reich when it didn't go right, while C.J. Stroud was excelling in Houston. So, yeah, Tepper's probably a big turnoff there. Another issue is, as bad as they are, they don't have the first pick because they traded that to Chicago last year for Bryce Young. So you got to deal with that. Raiders. Pro, you're in Vegas. Plain and simple. That's an attractive place to be. You also have cap space there with about 50 million or so available. You got Devontae Adams, not a bad starting spot for the wide receiver position, and that's if he's still there. There's a lot of talk about him going to New York and everything like that. We'll have to see, but he's there now. It's a pro. You got Max Crosby leading your defense. Okay. Khan, quarterback position as well. You got Aiden O'Connell. You got Jimmy G. Not it. So you gotta bring in somebody there, and the division. You got the Chiefs there, even though the Chiefs took a step back, but they're still going to be there. You got the Chargers that they figured things out. You got the Broncos, who have a lot of talent as well. So it could be a tough division, but it's Vegas, right? The Titans, which was one of the surprises, Vrabel being let go there. Looking at Tennessee, they have a lot of cap space. They have around 70 million. So you could definitely do some things there. You have the 7th pick, so you got a top 10 pick to address a really big need right away. You have Hopkins as a wide receiver. You got Jeffrey Simmons on the D line. You got Landry at linebacker. So you have some key pieces in some, critical spots. The division as well, AFC South, like the NFC South, is not a murderer's row. They could, contend pretty soon. So that's something that, a coach going in there might like. Might not be a long time before you turn it around and are competing for that divisional title. Khan, quarterback position, you got Levis, Willis, Tannehill, seems like he's gone. Will the new coach like Levis or move on and try to get somebody else? Possibly with that 7th pick. We'll have to see. And with the shock of the Vrabel move, what's kind of the pulse of the locker room? Is that something the new coach is going to have to try to win over that locker room? And if that becomes too much of a chore, maybe that's a con. I don't know. That's probably a reach, but something to think about. And the last job, the Seahawks, they don't have a lot of cap space. They only have like 4 million. So that's kind of a con there. And there are some big name free agents in Leonard Williams and Bobby Wagner. I mean, Bobby Wagner's like 34, but you could lose those two. Wagner's a great leader, and Leonard Williams is a force on the defensive line. Pros, though, you're in Seattle. You got the 12th man, the fan base. Really good, rabid fan base. It seems like a really nice area and everything, and the stadium's beautiful. That should be a draw. And they have young talent, especially offensively, the secondary. So, those are 7 jobs, and there's other jobs that could come open. There's rumors about New England. The Saints have committed to Dennis Allen, but you never really know, right? If the right person comes along and says, we want the Saints job, you tell me they wouldn't move on from Dennis Allen, which they probably should anyway. There's always talk about the Cowboys job, so some playoff teams even. So, yeah, this list of teams could grow very quickly. But who are some names that could fill these positions? So I showed you the 7 positions. I got 8 people, and there's actually more I didn't even put on here. First off, Vrabel. Like I said, seems like a really good coach. Players play for him. That's half the job right there. He's going to get one of these jobs. I could see him Vegas. He would seem like a Raiders guy, silver and black, Vrabel. I think would work. I could see maybe like the Commanders job, and if the New England job opens up, obviously that's where a lot of people would point to. So those are the spots for Vrabel, former Titans coach. You got Brian Flores, who was once the Dolphins coach. Then he went to the Steelers. Cardinals wanted him this past offseason. He said no. He went to Minnesota, did wonders with that defense. He's got to be in the running for one of these jobs. I could see Flores in Atlanta with the Falcons or Washington. I think he fit either place really well because he deserves a job, especially what he did with that Minnesota defense that was awful the year before. This year, vast improvement. So Flores should get one of the 7 jobs. Harbaugh just won the national championship with Michigan, and now people are assuming that he's going to strike while the iron's hot, go get back into the NFL, and I guess go on down that road to winning a Super Bowl, which he came close to. But I guess that's the last thing he needs to accomplish. For Harbaugh, it kind of seems like it's either probably Vegas or LA. I don't see him anywhere else. It's got to be one of those 2 spots. You know, Vegas and LA, I feel like they like to chase big names. He's probably the biggest name, the hottest commodity right now. It's got to be one of those places, or he just ends up staying in Michigan. That's where I think Harbaugh ends up. You got Brian Johnson, who's the Eagles offensive coordinator, which I don't know. Maybe he was a hotter commodity last year. This year, the offense has kind of struggled a bit, but I've seen some things about teams wanting to interview him, so I put him out there. For him, I had, who would I have? Maybe Carolina, because I think Carolina is going to have to get rookie coach. I don't see any veteran going in there and dealing with Tepper. You know, fortunately, it's going to be one of these first timers who's going to have to go there. And, you know, he did work with Jalen Hurts. Why not put him with Bryce Young, see what he can do with him? So that's why I got Brian Johnson, possibly going to Carolina. Ben Johnson from the Lions, who's their offensive coordinator, has done wonders with Jared Goff. That offense, I could see him also Carolina, because like I said, same thing with Brian Johnson. They're going to get a first-time coach there. Maybe even Atlanta, because when you look at the Lions offense, it's built based off the run, play action pass. You have Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, 2 great running backs. And if you do get into play action, you got Drake London, you got Kyle Pitts. Seems like a good fit. So look for Carolina, Atlanta for Ben Johnson. Got Brian Slowick, offense coordinator from Houston. And what the Texans have done this year, his name is skyrocketing up there right now. And for him, I think I put Carolina as well. No, I put Tennessee. I can see him Tennessee. Stays within the division for Tennessee. That might be a big reason to go get him. And with the Tennessee team, if, you know, Slowick thinks he could do anything with Levis, why not? He seems like an innovative coach, and I think that's what Tennessee needs since they moved on from Vrabel. So I have him connected with Carolina, Tennessee. Dan Quinn, it seems like if he's leaving Dallas, it's for Seattle. I feel like it's like a mutual thing there. They both probably want each other. So that's the only place I put. If he doesn't get the Seattle job, Washington, no, you know, within the division. And then Bieniemy, who, you know, was with Kansas City. Everybody thought he was going to get a job a few years ago. Didn't happen. Went to Washington. You know, had some ups and downs with Sam Howell, but I think it was a positive for him going there, getting away from Andy Reid, since it apparently was what was hanging over his head. And for Bieniemy, I feel like it's Atlanta or Washington. Like, he's already in Washington, then moved on from Rivera. It seemed like when they brought Bieniemy in, it was to succeed Ron Rivera when he got fired. So Yeah. So I feel like if Washington drags their feet, Atlanta might try to swoop in and get him. But those are the two spots I see him in. There's other names as well. There's Mike McDonald from Baltimore with that defense. There is, who else did I have on here? Kellen Moore. If the Chargers don't get Harbaugh, I assume Kellen Moore gets that job. Everybody's talking about Belichick. If he is gone in New England, he's probably going to get some job. So there's a bunch of names that are going to be out there. I think this coaching carousel for this season is going to be wildly interesting to watch. I'll definitely be paying attention to it. But you let me know. Who do you think fits in those 7 spots? And do you think a surprise job opens up? Let me know down in the comment section. But appreciate you checking out this video. You can check out some of the other ones over that are on the channel as well. Greatly appreciate that. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow, all that good stuff. Appreciate you. Yeah, that's all I got. Like I said, let me know in the comment section. Yeah, who do you have paired up with what job? How do you see the coaching carousel going? But with that, I'll catch you in the next video. I'm out. Be safe. God bless. I'll see you later.